Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for attending our webinar. Headless Commerce with Drupal is more, not less. My name is Dr. Jack Boitani. I'm a business development manager at Elastic Path Software, overseeing some of our North American partnerships. Today, I'm joined by Brian Gilmore. He's the director of technical sales at Elastic Path, and really, Brian is chartered with sharing the Elastic Path story over the world. He also oversees our demo team, so I know he's very excited to show you some of the new tools that we're making available to quickly commerce-enabled experiences with Elastic Path. Our guest speaker today is Joe Brannon. Joe Brannon is the Global Commerce Practice Director at TA Digital, one of our partners. So he oversees the team of engineers that are innovating on the Elastic Path platform and have been integrating it with screen-based and voice-based experience systems. A little bit of housekeeping. So we are going to have a Q&A at the end. So if you locate the Q&A call to action on your Zoom interface and click on that, it's going to pop up a window where you're able to type in your question, and we're going to answer them at the end. So Brian is going to get us started with a little bit of an intro and overview of Elastic Path. He's going to discuss some of the front-end tooling that we're making available to client and partners today. He's going to demo those tools. And then Joe is going to discuss the experience his team has had working with the Elastic Path solution. Then we're going to let you know where you guys can access these resources that we're showing you today. We're going to do a little bit of a quick poll to understand which experiences you guys are looking to implement in the next little while. And then they're going to have the Q&A that I mentioned. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Brian Gilmore to get us started.
Thanks for the intro, Jack. And hi, everyone. My name is Brian Gilmore. I know everyone here is excited today to learn about Headless Commerce with Drupal and to see the demo. I'm going to walk you through a couple of quick slides first that will set the table for our discussion. So you might have heard about Elastic Path and know that it is an e-commerce software platform, but did you know that Elastic Path powers 250 leading brands and over 800 live sites across the world and in over 170 countries? Those are some pretty big numbers. So why is Elastic Path so popular? If you could boil it down to one sentence, it's because we build a powerful, open, and flexible commerce platform to enable commerce anywhere and anytime. But what makes us special? I think, in my opinion, we are able to power those commerce experiences in any touch point because of the unique and intelligent API-first design in our commerce platform. And we'll talk more about that as we go through today's webinar. If you talk to Gartner, they've given us high rankings because of our innovative approach to commerce. In 2018, we were named visionary in the Magic Quadrant because of our completeness of vision and ability to execute. You'll see even more exciting news from us in Gartner in 2019 about our progress with commerce. So as I mentioned, over 250 leading brands have recognized that we are the best solution to power their commerce experiences. Some of those leading brands include Tesla, T-Mobile, and Carnival Cruise Lines. What's interesting about these companies is that they cut across all industries and markets. What they share in common is that they all wanted to redefine their commerce experiences for their customers and disrupt their industries in a unique way. Let's take a quick look at three of them. So Jenny Craig is the first one. Jenny Craig wanted to bring together content and commerce for their customers using Drupal as the front end. They also wanted to bring together their physical channels, such as their consultation centers, with their digital channels like web, social, and mobile. In particular, they wanted to create a harmonized commerce experience in their mobile channel. And finally, they wanted to get off their old and brittle single-stack monolith commerce platform that had a very high operating cost. Now let's take a quick look at Newell. Newell has over 200 brands that were very siloed into singular experiences. Think one brand to one store. They wanted to create a rich shopping experience across these brands using Acquia as the front end. They also wanted the ability to quickly support seasonal events, such as the Yankee Candle pop-up stores for the holidays. Who doesn't like the pine-scented candles that smell like Christmas trees? I know I sure do. And finally, they wanted to consolidate the numerous commerce platforms that were fracturing their customer experience and causing high costs. And lastly, we have a very large liquor and wine brand company that wanted to unify their commerce experience for customers across their multiple brands and labels. They chose Elastic Path for the commerce platform to drive those experiences and Drupal for the front end. Mobile POS was also very important to be included in the shopping experience because of their physical tasting rooms around the country, and they wanted to blend those with their online experience. And finally, they wanted to create synergies between their traditional and subscription-based wine club sales. When you look at all three of these companies, they chose Elastic Path and Drupal or Acquia to drive the change to their commerce experiences and to be more competitive and innovative. So let's talk for a second now about the different types of front ends that can work with Elastic Path. So here in this picture, you'll see all the various touch points. We tend to view them as user touch points, not so much as channels, but not all shopping experiences that you want to create today are web-oriented or run in a native web app such as native iOS. This is where other platforms fall down because we support the traditional web as well as the non-traditional. For example, Instagram doesn't allow you to bring your site into Instagram. You have to go and import your products. Now, all of a sudden, you have two experiences that are independent of each other. You can't really facilitate the entire commerce transaction outside of your platform. You also can't embed commerce into the experience that the customer is having at the moment. Instead, you have to jerk them out of that happy experience and put them into another experience for shopping, and that immediately lessens the possibility of converting them into a sale. So now layer in the fact that in today's world, customers are not just using one or two devices, but they're often using several. Think of the Black Friday sales we just had a couple days ago. Maybe you got a notification on your Apple Watch that your dream TV was on sale. So you check it out on your phone and add it to your cart, but decide to go into the store to see it in person first. While you're in the store, an associate with an iPad notices that you have the TV in your shopping cart and offers to throw in the wall mounts for a discount if you buy it now. If you're a little worried maybe that your spouse might get mad with the surprise purchase of a TV, so you go home that night and show them the great deal in your shopping cart on your home laptop. Maybe you use augmented reality on your phone to show your spouse the lovely spot you picked out in the living room for the TV, and oh, it fits just perfectly. So you get the approval and click, click, the TV is on its way. Now let's count the devices in this journey. There's the Apple Watch, the mobile phone, the in-store client app, the laptop, and augmented reality. That's just 5. Now think about other touch points like VR, IoT, Amazon Alexa, not to mention all the Facebook and other social channels such as Pinterest and Instagram. So how in the world do you create a harmonized shopping experience across all of those channels? And how do you keep up with the speed of the market when the next big thing comes out? Anyone remember Google Glass? That was a big thing a couple years ago, and now it's history. So you don't want to waste time building tons of commerce infrastructure for particular touch points. Rather, you want to focus on building the experience, and that's where Elastic Path can help. So here we have a picture of Cortex, which is Elastic Path's Commerce API. Cortex exposes all the nouns and verbs of commerce to the front-end touch points. It's much more than a typical API, though. It actually orchestrates the transactions through the commerce platform so that your front-end touch points don't need to be burdened with the knowledge of the business logic do's and don'ts. We have all the components in the commerce stack that you need to run your store: price, cart, catalog, and promotions, for example. We are a full stack like other platforms, but we bundle the front end in a different way. The assumption a lot of people have with headless commerce is that you're missing something, but in actuality, you're not. We can easily create presentation layers using open source libraries and starter stores. Unlike the single stack guys, Elastic Path can add more touch points and support them for ones that suit your needs. So at Elastic Path, part of our commerce strategy is to be front-end agnostic. We recognize that it can be difficult to build those customer journeys and provide great transactable experiences. To that end, we provide a couple different options for you. The first one is open source. If you don't want to spend a ton of money on a CMS, no problem. We are built to surface transactional capabilities into any CMS, including open source ones like Hippo and Drupal. Suppose you need something a little bit more enterprise grade. That's fine too, because we have proven support for great CMS platforms like Acquia, Bloomreach, Cormedia, and Adobe. But what if you're a do-it-yourself shop, you say? We have you covered there with our reference experiences. We provide a full-fledged storefronts based on React, Drupal, and progressive web apps. Adopting this front-end agnostic strategy enables the business to liberate itself from IT and make those changes to commerce and content without the need for developers. When you want to create a new experience for a new touch point, you can do that and leverage existing investment in commerce without having to start from scratch. This is how you move at the speed of the customer, and this is how you create compelling experiences with Elastic Path. So we've talked a lot about different touch points. And before we jump into the demo, I want to tell you a little bit more about these reference experiences. You're probably thinking, it's great that Elastic Path supports all these touch points, but does that mean I have to go buy or build additional solutions to make all these touch points work for my commerce experience? The answer to that is definitely no. At Elastic Path, we've gone one step beyond by creating reference experiences for you in Drupal and Progressive Web Apps, or PWA. These reference experiences are stores that include all the front-end components that you need to create a shopping experience for your customers, including catalog, browsing, cart, checkout, pricing, and more, all right out of the box. You can reskin the reference experience to your own taste, use it as a project starter, or just use it as is. The reference experiences have a mobile-friendly architecture and a responsive web design that has optimal layouts and data scopes on each device. Elastic Path makes the code for the reference experiences available as open source. It's fully documented and downloadable by anyone, and we'll show you how to get those at the end of the webinar today. We can even deploy these reference experiences to our new Elastic Path Commerce Cloud solution, which gives you the full power of Elastic Path in a SaaS format. And we have more front ends coming soon. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to pause the webinar or the PowerPoint, and I'm going to jump into the demo. So what I'm going to show you today is a couple of different experiences here with Drupal and our progressive web app. And I'm going to show you how to do some authoring within that and show you how you can transact across these multiple front ends. So here in this first screen, you can see the Drupal store that I was just referring to. And I'm actually logged in right now as the Drupal admin. And here in this screen, this is where I'm logged in as the user. So I'll just give you a quick tour to kind of orient you before I get into the authoring aspects of this. So in this particular Drupal store, you can see here that I've got products that have been highlighted on the front page. And in this particular case, Drupal is rendering everything that you're seeing here. But things like the product name, the title, the price, this is data that's being fed by the Elastic Path Cortex API at real time into the Drupal store. So let me show you some changes that we can make here. I'll jump over to the authoring screen here. So you can see here we have the navigation across the top of the store. Now let's just say as a marketer that you wanted to change these things. So let me just kind of go in and I'll show you some things that we do to get set up for this. As a part of setting up the store, we actually have these Cortex API configurations. And what we do to get the store set up is we go ahead and we pre-populate this by using our category importer tool and our product importer. Now, I'm not going to click on it now because it's going to take a couple minutes, and I've done this ahead of time to help with the demo. But let's go back here to the site, and we're going to make a change to this navigation, and we'll show you how easy that can be done. So I'll go into the menus and into the main navigation, and we'll click on that. And you'll see here that I have a list of all the categories that have come over from Elastic Path. So when we did the import, Drupal picked up the fact that we have all these categories set up within the Elastic Path Commerce platform. Now I have some that are enabled and some that are disabled. So now let's just say, for example, I want to go ahead and enable add-ons or disable accessories or something to that effect. We'll go ahead and we'll uncheck that one. We'll save it. And we'll come over here and we'll refresh the page. And as I refresh the page, you now see that the accessories has been removed from the navigation there. And if I wanted to add something, I can very simply just go back in, and we'll just replace that with add-ons instead. We'll save that, and actually I want to move that down to the end where the accessories used to be. So I'll drag that down, save it again. I'll pop back over to the screen and here as a user, and I'll refresh. And now you can see that add-ons have been added to the screen. So that's one example of how you can change the navigation there very easily based on the Elastic Path data. Now, remember at the bottom, we've got these featured items here. As a marketer, particularly around holiday times when you're doing a lot of promotions, you may want to change these featured items. So to do that in Drupal, we'll go back to our authoring menu here, and we're going to open up our block layouts. And as I scroll down, you can see I have 2 featured product block layouts already configured and enabled. And I think what I want to do is we'll take this vestry golf bag and we'll replace it with, we'll stay in the golf theme. Let's replace it with some golf balls instead. So we'll open this up. We'll go into our featured product block here. We'll open that up. And here you'll see the screen for that particular featured product block. And I'm going to replace the golf bag with a different SKU. So this came from Elastic Path. And okay, we'll make sure that the image alignment is to the right. And we'll click Save. Okay, now we'll come back to our page here where I'm logged in as Brian at ep.com. And we'll refresh the page. And instead of the vestry golf bag, we now see the golf balls. But as you can see here, I've got some editing to do here to add some content to the description, but we'll do that in a minute. So one other thing you can do here is if you want to add a third product to the feature block, that's also very easy. You can come in back to your authoring screen here, click Place Block, and we'll choose the featured product block here. And now we're going to grab a SKU. I think. Well, let's put the vestry golf bag back in. Just grab that real quick in my window. Paste that back in. Now in this case, we'll leave the image alignment on the right, and I want to make sure that this only shows up on the front page. So I want to add this tag here. It says front, because otherwise it'll show up as a recommendation on every page or a featured item on every page, which is okay. But in this particular case, I only want it on the front page. So I'm going to click Save Block that way. And it is enabled, and we'll go back. We'll refresh the page. So I got the golf balls, the tire package, and now the golf bag is back with us again. So one last change here in the authoring scenario. So if you remember, I mentioned that we don't have any content here for the particular golf ball. So let me just go back into the Drupal editor, and we're going to open up the content section here. And let's just do a quick search for golf. You can see we got our golf bag and our golf ball. So let's just go ahead and edit the golf balls. Now, when Elastic Path, actually, let me just show you this very quickly. If I click on the golf balls, you'll see here, when I go to the product detail page, I only have this very short description. So this short description was pulled in from Elastic Path at the time of the product import. So now here I am in the Drupal authoring, and I want to add to this product summary in the product summary override section. So I've got some content. As a marketer, I always want to enrich that content, make it sound more interesting and appealing to all the golf people out there. So I'll just go ahead and we'll paste that in. We'll click Save. Okay, it's been saved. And I'll come back here to the golf ball page, and I'll click Refresh, and now I have all the new content there. And if I come back to the vestry homepage, you'll also see that the feature block for that same particular item is here in the same place that it was before. So now let's go back I'm going to show you one more thing in Commerce Manager, actually. So let's open that up for you. So say as a marketer, you'll see here some of these prices have a strike through. And one is the MSRP, which is the strike through, and the other is your sale price. So as a marketer, you want to highlight something, show that there's been a promotion or a discount. You might contact your pricing team and say, hey, let's put these golf balls on sale, and you want to change the price. So what we'll do is we'll go into the Elastic Path Commerce Manager. So this is our admin tool. This is on the back end. As a marketer, you may not see this, but your pricing team or maybe your merchandising team will. And let's just go ahead and we said we were going to change the golf balls, right? Okay, so you'll see here in my screen, I've got all my catalogs for all the various stores listed out. I have my US shop, my Spanish shop, my Canadian one, my Australian one. But I've gone ahead and I've pulled up the pricing for the particular golf balls here. And you'll see that the list price is $175, just like it is on the store page. So if I wanted to change that to say $159, and I will save that very quickly. When I go back to the page here with the golf balls, I go ahead and I click refresh. And now you see the new sale price in this nice red font, and then the MSRP that is struck through at $175. So this shows you how Drupal, with its integrations into Elastic Path, was able to have that change brought up dynamically through the Cortex API without any developer coding. So you didn't see me pull out any kind of IDE or console or do any other changes. These are all changes that can be done by the business teams without need to go grab an IT team or without the need to go grab developers. So I told you earlier about the different front ends. So now what I would like to do is we'll go ahead and we'll add this to our cart. But remember, I talked to you about both the Drupal front end and also the progressive web app. So I've been exclusively within the Drupal store here, and I've gone ahead and I've added that to my cart. But in my other tab here, I actually have a different front end connected to the same Elastic Path storefront. And this is our progressive web app. So for those of you that are familiar with progressive web apps, what's really great about them is they give you the experience of a web application, but without having to do all that coding that's native to a particular platform. So you get the responsive design, you get to be able to do notifications and offline things. In this particular store that you see here, this progressive web app is one of the things that you can download after the webinar. So I've taken the liberty of going ahead and logging in ahead of time. So I'm Brian at ep.com here. And you'll see it has a similar products that have been featured here in the front as well. But just to show you that we've got the same cart behind the scenes, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on that. And you'll see that I've got the same golf balls that I had over here in this particular screen. So now that I've logged in, it's important to note this is a shared cart behind the scenes. So despite the fact that you have all these various front ends, I share a customer experience, I share the promos, the prices, and I share the cart as well. So as I make that journey throughout all the devices, the customer is getting that harmonized experience. So let's go ahead and we'll just proceed to checkout. And as I go through the checkout process, this is making calls, Drupal is making calls to the Elastic Path platform and determining the taxation. It's talking to the credit card gateway. And in this particular case, I have all my billing address information and all my shipping address information already pre-populated from my profile. And I have my favorite FedEx shipping option here. And when I look at my order summary, Elastic Path has gone ahead and calculated the shipping cost and the tax cost to give you a total for your purchase. And all of this is fed dynamically into the front end in Drupal. So I'll click purchase. And now it's going through the confirmation process. And you'll see, thank you for the order. When I come back over here to the progressive web app, you'll see this is where I had the golf balls in the cart. Now, if I click on the cart again, it should be empty. And there it is. So there's your proof that we have one cart between the different front ends and how Elastic Path can support Drupal and multiple front ends. So let's go ahead and we'll jump back into the presentation. Let me just swap screens here for a moment. So that was the demo that I was showing you there, and it's great that I was able to show you how we had one customer with many experiences, authoring commerce content in Drupal with Elastic Path, and the ability to transact across different front ends with just one experience. So that's just a little bit of a taste of what Elastic Path can do with Drupal and progressive web apps, and that's the demo. So next, let's go ahead and chat with Joe Brannon from TA Digital for a minute, and he'll give us an idea of what it's like to work with Elastic Path in the real world.
Great demo, Brian. Hello, everyone. I'm Joe Brannon. I work for an agency called TA Digital. As a commerce practice director, my job is to bring innovative retail solutions to the market and implement large-scale digital-focused initiatives on behalf of clients, and I serve as a strategist to help organizations realize their business goals. I have 20 years of experience across the entire commerce landscape, from sourcing to purchase and in between those two domains, and I've worked for enterprise clients such as Starbucks, Billabong, Oakley, and State Street, and many others. And I've implemented every type of commerce digital experience platform on the market, be it the monolithic or the one template for all SaaS model, and even pure customized solutions and in between. And today I'm delighted to be able to talk to you about my experience with Drupal and Elastic Path and my team's experience and how much they enjoy working with these two systems. For starters, TA Digital has built several projects with using Drupal and Elastic Path. These are fully functioning sites that we built literally within weeks between these two systems for clients with full suite functionality. We've done it in a variety of different approaches, such as a coupled architecture design to expose Elastic Path or a source data to the front end or the back end, or even a decoupled approach using API gateways to transact between the varied systems, and including the back office systems and the systems of records, and the peripheral of all the systems that you work with in the entire commerce ecosystem, which is quite vast. And this flexibility gives us the ability to meet the customer's requirements with little or no customization and integration concerns. And for those who do implementations know that the risk areas are always in the integrations. And what's great about the Elastic Path platform, it is extensible and it's extending across the different systems using the API Cortex in a very easy way that really helps us reduce that risk profile for our customers and makes it an easy coupling regardless of the type of back office they have and the way they would like to transact between their systems. On the bottom, you can see that we built a full enterprise solution that's fully functional and fully managed solution. It's a hosted turnkey solution using Elastic Path and Drupal. This is a compelling experiential commerce solution driven that we can deploy within 90 days guaranteed. And it's a testament to the platforms. You just can't do this with a monolithic system. And the value of proposition of time to market and cost of maintenance is a compelling argument to go with this type of platform and solution. On the next slide, I'll highlight a few areas that makes Drupal and my team's very excited about working with Elastic Path. The secret sauce is the Cortex, as Brian alluded to earlier. The Cortex guides an engineer through the API offerings following a customer-centric flow within a single navigation panel. And there's a little bit of a screenshot of that right there. And what's unique about that, it literally goes from left to right through the entire checkout process and allows someone that's non-technical or even technical people understand the flow of this API Cortex layer. It's a very compelling, and it uses hypermedia linking to help you get through that system and understand how to connect certain technologies. The Cortex provides a unified interface, as you can see, and calls are invoked in several ways, such as the UI layer, using React or JavaScript or Angular or jQuery, or even on the server side using PHP, Java, Curl, .NET. And you can see that that type of flexibility, as I mentioned earlier, is a great fit for brands and allows us to be able to meet their needs quickly without having to do customization. If you choose, you can couple APIs together, which is a preferred method in my view. For example, you could decide to take all the API calls that are on a product detail page and make those a single call using a Zoom parameter that's part of the platform within Elastic Path. We've learned and know very well that the front-end development learning curve is greatly reduced using the Cortex Studio. The front-end developers without any training can find these APIs required to empower a certain functionality and get data such as price or promotion or catalog or customer, cross-promotion and product linking for cross-sell or upsell capabilities. It's very intuitive, it's easy to use, and our UI teams are very pleased to work with Elastic Path compared to some of the other platforms that they integrate with. Having a single API-based platform serving the differing UI layers makes it much easier to keep a consistent user experience across the different channels and touch points as we talked about. For example, desktop or mobile. On the next slide, I'll provide an example. Here you can see that we built a system, a single Elastic Path instance that was able to quickly put on Amazon Alexa on the top as a voice-activated shopping assistant. In addition, on the bottom, we're also coupled to the single EP instance is a desktop mobile version that's using Drupal as its glass, Elastic Path as the core engine, all within the single integration. And now you have single source of customer, single source of order, single source of price, all in a single catalog if you choose to. It's really a compelling argument for a lot of brands to have that ability to keep single source of customers' data and order into one platform. I reached out to my team and the customers and I asked them, what makes it easy in your view to make the coupling and working with Elastic Path and Drupal? And one of my team members came back, he said, connecting all the dots needed for a digital ecosystem using Cortex Studio is much easier than developing customized code. And a brand that we work with said Elastic Path is the hub that powers all of our digital touch points as a modern shopper engages us across all of our brands. With that, I'd like to turn it back over to Brian, and thank you for your time.
That's great, Joe. Thank you very much. I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the resources that you can access after the webinar today. So I made a couple of promises earlier, such as you can download this. So let's kind of talk a little bit about that right now. Before we jump into the Q&A, I'll read through these links. So if you want to learn more about Elastic Path front ends and experiences, you can go out to elasticpath.com/experiences. And don't worry about writing this down. We'll actually send you out an email after the webinar with a link to both the recording and a link to these resources. Now, if you want to dive right in and check out the code, you can actually go out to github.com/elasticpath and download it there. And lastly, if you're the kind of person who likes to read tutorials, you can go out there and we've placed them online at a place in elasticpath.github.io, which is listed here on your screen. So all great resources for you to read over the Christmas holidays. Okay, now over to Jack for Q&A time.
Thank you, Brian. So yeah, we're going to start the Q&A momentarily, but as I mentioned earlier, we're also going to launch a poll. So that's going to pop on the screen right now. So what we are asking our audience today is, what front-end touchpoints or CMS are you planning to use in the next 12 months? You can click all the ones that apply. So your options available are Acquia, Drupal, Bloomreach, Core Media, IoT, Apple Watch, or Otter. So you go ahead and vote. We're going to start with the first question that was submitted while you do that, and then we're going to read the result after the first question. So the first question is from John. I think this is for Brian. So can the marketing team change the Drupal templates?
Yes. So the marketing team can actually go in and edit the various aspects of the product or the templates that they see. However, when the templates are first created, that's where the Drupal developer will come in. They'll create the original template that will tie into Elastic Path, but after the first time, the marketers can make the subsequent changes from there.
Okay, thank you very much, Brian. That was great. So let's see if our results are ready. Hopefully you guys were fast with your fingertips. Okay, so you can see the results on screen. Drupal got the majority of the votes, and then we got other, and then Acquia. So thank you for participating in that. We're gonna go back to our Q&A. We have a question from Stephanie, also for Brian. What will be the process of getting new releases? Will it require a redesign of my store?
No, actually, anytime that you want to have a new release of your code, the nice thing about the Cortex API is that it's abstracting the front end from all the changes on the back end. So if you wanted to make a change to your site, you can do that without impacting anything else. So that's not a problem at all.
Okay, great. Now a question for Joe from Carlos. With all the options of front end available, how does a TA Digital customer typically make the decision as to which one to use?
That's a great question. And as you can imagine, there's a myriad of considerations you need to take into account as you look at what type of front end you would want to use. And that, of course, is cost and time to market, ease of use, resource availability, the ability to customize, and back office support and IT teams, resource availability, and all that. But for me, I think usually what I see is ease of use for the end users and the marketers and the commerce people to go in and edit changes quickly. And one of the great features about ElasticPath is you can do discounting, for example, on a time-based approach. You don't have to do it, and you can time those things, and they automatically turn on and turn off. But at the end of the day, I think it's, for most teams, it's the ability to make these content changes with little or no IT support.
Okay, great. Thank you, Joe. We have another one for Rick, for Brian. Can I create a product in ElasticPath via the Cortex API?
Yes, you can actually create products in ElasticPath in a number of ways. You can make those changes via the Cortex API if you choose, or you can do that within the ElasticPath Commerce Manager admin tool.
Okay, great. Thank you. We've got a question from Vaibhav, also for Brian. Is the Cortex API configuration module present out of the box with Drupal, or is there any Drupal plugin that needs to be used?
Yeah, that's a great question. So if you guys remember, when I was in the authoring screen, one of the first things that I showed you was going into the Cortex API under the configuration screens. That is available as a part of our open source code that we have out there on GitHub. We are looking at making some contributions back into the Drupal community with the plugins in the future. So we're excited to make some contributions back to the great community that's out there today.
Okay, excellent. Brian, David says he likes the promotion feature, how it will let business users manage these faster. Can they do A/B testing in Drupal?
Yeah, that's a great question. So a lot of times you're trying to figure out, is it better to give somebody 10% off, or is it better maybe to give them a free item? You know, what's going to do the best conversion? You can create multiple promotions within ElasticPath. And then in the Drupal side, you can go in and you can author the appropriate pages for your A/B test and use the A/B testing functionality there to show those various pages and invoke the promotions within ElasticPath. So yes, part of the integration between the two systems allows you to use the A/B testing there.
Okay, excellent. Ramakrishnan asks, what are the integration tools ElasticPath provides to push/pull data to Drupal?
Yep. So if you remember at the beginning of the demo, I was showing the category and the product importer. Those are part of the tools that ElasticPath provides in order to get your Drupal store set up.
Okay, thank you very much. And then we have a question again around where are the ElasticPath accelerators available?
Yep, just go out to github.com/ElasticPath, and we'll send you an email with the links afterwards.
Okay, excellent. That is all the time that we have today. If you have logged in a question that we have not been able to address in time, we're going to follow up with you guys very fast and make sure that we answer your question. We want to thank you again for attending our webinar. I want to thank again Brian and Joe for the presentation. And again, as Brian stated, you're going to get an email with a link to the recording for the webinar and also links to the resources that we've outlined. And again, if you submitted the questions that we were not able to address, we're going to follow up individually with you. So thanks again for joining us today.